Hello, my name is Aaron Rosen, your local realtor in Northern California. Today is Wednesday, July 17th, and I just wanted to go over a few market updates and interesting things I found in the news and stats about the housing market. So let's just dive right in. I found this on the California Association of Realtors. They release stats. And this is for Santa Rosa, California. So the median price is $785. There was 130 sales. Oh, by the way, this is for June. This is for last month. And the number of active listings was 274, which is up 24% from this time last year. Here's the interesting point about this. Sales to list price. Well, it doesn't have that there. Percent of active listings with reduced prices. 100%. Every house that went on the market ended up reducing their prices. To me, that's absolutely insane. Sometimes there can be kind of glitches and things with software and how you count it and all that, but that just really stood out to me as something very, very interesting. So I started kind of poking around and I kind of figured out that I agree with this. I think that it's actually probably an accurate stat. So let me just go down the list a little bit here. It looks like that needed to... Oh. Okay. So, you know what, that one, I needed to re-log in on this one. But basically, that was just showing that there is a huge amount of new listings that have come on. And I can go into my software here and just show you, in the last day, there has been 585 new listings in one day. That's a lot. So that makes sense as to why there's so many reductions going on. There's just a flood of new houses that are coming on the market here. So if you're looking to buy, now's not a bad time. They're actually probably going to lower interest rates in September. So that'll just send it up, up, up and away. So I suggest buying when they lower interest rates, but not waiting too long because everybody will catch up. Right now, everybody's trying to sell their houses, but has to do a price reduction. So let's just go back to the dashboard here and check their reductions. Price reductions, 386. Wow, that's quite a lot. Let's go ahead and just see. So we got a couple of, $250,000 places here over in Sacramento. Let's just take a pick in Healdsburg. Oh, that's a $250,000 condo in Healdsburg. Let's just kind of peek at that. Did it say this is a condo? That's a manufactured. Somebody's trying to oversell their listing there a little bit. So let's go to the top. Let's see, what was this? $25 million in Belvedere. That's going to be worth a check out. Wow. Right on the water in Belvedere. You know what I'm going to say right off the bat? This place looks beautiful. That's trying to zoom in here. But these actually look like wooden supports. Don't get me wrong. This is a beautiful place. And I'm sure it's built to very, very high engineering standards. I'm just going to say, if this doesn't have metal supports under the house, I wouldn't buy it. With this, they've basically got to drive it down through all the muck and all the sea until you get to the bedrock. So, yeah, I'm probably sure they did if they spent $25 million on it. Look at that view. I wonder what they reduced the price by. Let's go ahead and just see how much they reduced this by. If it'll show us that. What was the original listing price? Yeah, it's not really showing me. So, the point here is that there's been a lot of price reductions. 597 homes and 386. So, maybe over 50% here, 60% have had price reductions. Let's just go back 7 days just to get a little broader scope of the market. New listings in the last week, there are 4,000 new listings and 2,000 price reductions, 2,500 sold. So that's definitely, there's a lot of action in the market. I'm recommending to anyone, sell before the election. Like, there's reasons to hold through the election, but the uncertainty on the other side of the election, I think that it's a great time to sell before then. We have no idea what's going to happen with taxes, with land, with building regulations, with building materials. So it's a event horizon for the housing market. You know, you can think one way is good or the other way, but I think that we can say it'll be an unknown. So I did a little browsing, and this was pretty fun. There's a 156-acre estate in California wine country, and they're asking $32 million. Let's check that out. That's quite nice. How many square feet? Guest house is 3,000 square feet. That's pretty big. 14,000 square feet of living space. That's pretty nice. So if you're in for a winery, that one might be the one for you. Okay, into the real news. This is what I found interesting here. Apple unveils a $50 million fund as part of a $2.5 billion investment commitment aimed at addressing the housing crisis in San Francisco Bay Area. This is affordable housing. So the fund will initially back 4 properties in greater San Francisco, creating over 400 homes in the next 2 years. It's concerning to me that Apple has to build housing for its employees. I'm happy that they're doing this, but I'm just going to tell you, it's not their job, okay? That should be left to builders. You know, if you want to go back to an old system where a company has, you know, a company store and they have housing for you and maybe they provide education, I'm not opposed to this, okay? That's an old system that's kind of been done away with, but that's actually coming back. And that's kind of a sign of feudalism, which is a little bit scary to me that Apple is actually buying land and building houses. They may not be directly doing this, but if they're contributing to it, that just shows the economic state. You know, Apple, one of the better paying jobs that you could have, one would assume that maybe their employees could build houses. Or maybe, you know, this isn't even for their employees because this is all low income affordable housing. So this is actually for the people to service their employees. This is the dishwashers, the cooks, the taxi drivers, all those types of things. So it's a little bit concerning. It's no secret that we are in the middle of a housing crisis, but I don't really think that the government is treating this like a crisis, and I will explain why. Okay, here's another headline. Biden announces plan to cap rent hikes. So if you don't know, a landlord in California can only raise rent by 10% a year. I'm not super familiar with all the other states, but that's basically what it is. And in this, Mr. Biden's proposal, which requires congressional approval, so it hasn't passed yet, would cut tax credits for landlords who try to raise rent by more than 5%. So basically, if you raise rates by that 10%, they're going to take away your tax incentives, which is a huge part of investment real estate is depreciation. The policy would apply to landlords who own more than 50 units, comprising about 20 million rentals across the country, according to the Biden administration. Mr. Biden says he hoped that this plan will send a clear message to corporate landlords, which is interesting. I'm not sure the percentage of entities that own over 50% of or 50 units is corporate or not. My guess is yes. There's been a lot of buying by companies like BlackRock and others on Wall Street through the REITs, which is a real estate investment trust. So he continues here. Rent is too high, and buying a home is out of reach for too many working families and young Americans. After decades of failure to build enough homes, So instead of making incentives for builders to buy homes or to build homes, let's bring down the cost of labor. Let's bring down the cost of materials. Let's bring down the cost of taxes. Here in Sonoma County, it'll cost you about $65,000 before you ever put a shovel in the ground. Is he going to lower that cost so that people can build more houses? No, 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 no. What he wants to do is to take away tax breaks from wealthy corporations instead of lowering the total income, for example. That's one approach of any given area by reducing taxes and fees. It's easy for the government to say, you want to build a new house, we will give you $10,000 tax credit. Okay, now that $65,000 that you need to put a shovel in the ground turns into $55,000. There are a number of ways that this could be addressed, in my opinion, that would be more effective than curbing tax breaks for corporations. I just don't think that's the right approach to all this. Look, they're trying everywhere. So here, Oakland opens up a 100% affordable housing complex. This is $80 million for 79 units. So in Oakland, it's going to be $1 million per unit for low-income housing. This apartment complex will be at 1670 17th Street, called the Black Panther. It'll have ground floor businesses. Okay, so it's maybe not exactly $1 million, but $950,000 for each low-income housing. I don't know if we can find out. It doesn't say how big these houses are. But if it costs you $950,000 for a 1,000 square foot apartment, that's ridiculous. What are you doing? That is not going to do anything. Look, 7,500 people have already applied to live in the complex. 7,500. That means there's this 79. So basically 100 people have applied for every unit that is being built. You know what that tells me? You need to build 100 times more units. So what is this? This is 80 million. So that's $800 million that you would need just to cover the people who applied. So that's, what is the end result of this? The end result of this is that people are leaving California. And to be honest, I don't blame them. And that's exactly what this next article talks about. Florida dominates the list of best states, I don't know why it says cities, for first-time home buyers, while California sinks to the bottom. A new study from Wallet Hub released Tuesday ranked the best and worst cities. It measured affordability, real estate, quality of life, and a bunch of other things in 300 locations, 22 key metrics. 6 out of the top 10 best cities for first-time homebuyers are in Florida. Now, this is interesting. I'm not super familiar with Florida's land situation and all their taxes, but I know that there's been an exodus to Florida, and that is because of reasons like I just laid out. They're building 79 units for 7,500 people. Where do these people go? Where do they go? They go to Florida. And what happens is California loses out on that tax money. It's really sad. But I'm not just going to complain. I'm actually going to show you why. The real reason that California and everything west of the Mississippi is so expensive. This is something that nobody's talking about, and I'll show you. So here they come. Oh, our tab crashed. Why California is so expensive. I just wanted to let you, take a peek at what they're saying as to why it's so expensive. This article's terrible. California's sunny weather, career opportunity, and many activities. The activities are going to make it more expensive here. Okay. Let's see. Why is California so expensive? Housing and transportation are the biggest factors driving the state's high cost of living. So, the California, that's basically what it is they're talking about housing, transportation, food, and utilities. We have really high electricity here. And our food is really, really high, despite us growing a quarter of the nation's food. We've got the Central Valley there, which is one of the largest, most fertile places to grow food in the entire world. It is amazing. I don't know if you've been there, but you just drive through and there'll just be peaches on both sides of the road for 25 minutes, as far as you can see in both directions. And for some reason, peaches are expensive here, but not in other places. We could get into this, and this is a little outside my expertise, but it's all regulations. It's all regulations. Okay, so here's the fun part. I'm going to tell you the real secret why California... Oh, what happened there? It was just showing me. Aha, there we go. So, this is a map on Zillow. I don't want to move this too much in case it disappears. I did it again. It's a little bit hard on Zillow to get the entire country. But you can see what I've done here is I've taken the entire country, and then right here you can see this is homes up to 400,000. So, as you can see on the East Coast, there are a ton of homes under 400,000. And on the West Coast, over here, there's basically none. Look, there are no homes in Nevada currently, at least in this search, that are under 400,000. And if you do get something under 400,000, it's not going to be very nice. It's, So this is why people are moving over here to Florida. It also has to do, I don't know if Florida has housing tax, but in California it's about 1.25%. So if you buy a $1 million house, it's going to be $15,000 or so. That's, it's $1,000+ a month, which is a rent on the other side of the country here. So for me, that's astounding. And here you go. This is why California and all housing on the west of United States, not just the West Coast, is so expensive. Look at this. This is federal public land, surface and subsidiaries. Nope, surface and subsurface, excuse me. Okay, so I understand why this is, but look, has to do with the history of our country. Everybody landed over here in 1492, and, well, they landed in Cuba. I'm kind of paraphrasing here. But basically, we moved. This was the place where everybody started living, and then we moved over to California. This was in the 1850s. There was the gold rush in California, and a lot of people came over here. Okay, this federal land makes it so there is less land to build. It's not that we don't have any less land over here. We have a ton of land. But look at Nevada. Look at this. Nevada is almost entirely federal land. Arizona. Look at Texas here. I wonder why houses are cheap in Texas. In Texas, you can get twice the house that you can in California. So this just shows you. This was Teddy Roosevelt who did the national parks. I am not against national parks. Okay? I'm pro nature. I love the national parks around here. I hike a lot. I go visit the parks. But if we are really in a housing crisis, do you think that it might be appropriate to allocate, let's just say 2%, just 2% of land to maybe new building? Maybe decrease regulations. Because if all you do is keep these same high prices and then just keep piling on more and more houses into this same place, it's going to make it denser, it's going to make it less enjoyable, and it's going to make it more expensive. So that's the real secret of why housing is so expensive in California, is because simply, well, let me update. Anything over here, anything on the west side of United States is ridiculously expensive. We can take this and almost match it up. Look at this. There's nothing over here. And there are a ton of houses over here. Let's even go down to a state level, just for fun. Not sure why this is... Oh, let's remove this boundary. Okay. So there's no houses in the bottom of Florida here, right? Oh, look. This is all Federal Reserve lands. So, you know, this is why I have a hard time taking some of this stuff seriously when I see this stuff about California. You know, I'm happy that Apple is giving $50 million to help make housing. What I'm not happy about is that Apple has to give $50 million to make more affordable housing. We need to strip some of these regulations, and we need to open up the land. I'll be honest. Also, just here in Santa Rosa, I'll just pull this up really quick. Why isn't this working? New listings. There we go. Just taking a second. So, if we just look in even just my hometown, Santa Rosa. Looks like it's not really working so well. I'm not sure what's going on with the internet. There we go. Okay. So, we have a whole issue here. You know, it looks like, look at this. This is, let me move this just one second. Okay, there we go. So in Santa Rosa, we have a ton of land that is not utilized here. I understand that this is private land and all that, and there's a lot of grapes around here. We have over 400 wineries in Sonoma County, but maybe if we were in a real housing crisis and they actually wanted to fix the state, they would say, hey, as the state, we will give you incentives to sell off, I don't know, let's just say 2% of the land again for wineries. And maybe you don't have to pay taxes on that 2% land if you sell it to someone who's willing to build low-income housing. Do they do this? No. Am I in control of all of this? No. That might be why I can see it from the outside perspective as a real estate agent. But I just think that it's ridiculous of the amount of other things that they will do instead of address the actual root causes of problems in the housing market. Does this mean that you can't get a good house? No. If you make the appropriate amount of money, you can get a wonderful house in Santa Rosa. The point is that a lot of people are priced out of houses around here and then end up moving. So you can do some, calculations on a state, but if you lose, let's just say 1 million people, I think it was 800,000 people moved out of California in the last couple of years. That's a lot of money in taxes. So why don't you figure it out, California? If you have to throw $500 million at incentives to keep $1 billion in taxes, then that might be a good idea. So, it's just a little bit silly in the way that this is all set up around here. All right, well, that's what I wanted to show you today. I just wanted to explain why the housing market is so expensive. They have all these other reasons. They'll be like, well, it's inflation, well, it's fees, well, it's this. It's really land. It comes down to land. And what we can do here, we can actually, let's just peek at the land. 201 land listings. Well, we can look here. So look, 27 acres of land was millions of dollars. Literally millions of dollars. So let's just pretend you wanted to build a house in Santa Rosa. $1.6 million for 1 acre. That does not feel like a reasonable. Hey, this one's much better. Okay, there we go. 6.34 acres for $625,000. Look at this. This has been on for a long time. Actually, looks like they just put it back on the market. So, building out here, look, it's $600,000. It's $1 million for 20 acres. $1 million for 20 acres. And we can go, hey, $250,000 for 2 acres. That's right in line with the other ones. $500,000 for 32 acres. We could go look in other states, but I think you get the point. In the East Coast or east of the Mississippi, land is not that expensive and regulations aren't that high. So, these are all trade-offs. California, we do have housing appreciation that's been 3.8% over the last 30 years on average. So if you can get into this market and you can afford it, it's actually great. But the barrier of entry is so high that I fear that it actually stagnates a lot of the market. All right, well, I hope you enjoyed that and I hope you learned something. I don't want you to get discouraged because things are hard here. The other places, they pay less money, so that it's always a trade-off. California, we do have kind of a poor standard of living quality here, despite everything. But if you're in the right place, you can absolutely make it work. You just need to make enough money for it. Okay, well, all right, take care. Have a good day.